Hello and welcome to another embroidery basics video. Now I keep getting told by people that they can't do French knots, so I thought we'd have a little look at them today. So this is just 6-stranded embroidery cotton, nothing very exciting, just what you'd find in the shop. And today I thought I would voice over as I go, so bear with me, it might be a little bit dodgy, but we'll do our best. So excuse all the cuts and scratches on my hands, I've just got a new kitten. So I'm going to thread all 6 strands in so you can have a look at what that looks like. Put a little knot in the end. So for a French knot, you bring the needle up like that. Twist it round the needle and push it back in. Now the first one might be a bit sneaky because what happens, you see, is sometimes the needle goes through the knot and then that causes you problems, but it's generally only the first one that happens to. And if you're a good girl and didn't do knots, then you wouldn't have that problem, but it works for me. And there you go, you pull through the thread and you've got a little knot like that. Now you can sort of stack these up on top of each other, well, kind of next to each other like this. And then you end up with a nice little sort of knotty texture. Sorry if I'm going through this a bit fast. I'm going to show you with lots of different thicknesses of thread, so you should get it by the end of the video. So just pull it through, knot it round, and like that. See, now that makes nice little centres of flowers or sort of rock textures or whatever you like. What you can also do, which is a bit cheating, well it's not cheating really, is you can loop the thread round several times and push it back through, and then you get a larger knot. I'm sorry if you can hear the kitten crying, I've just shut the door. So you can mix those in with the normal French knots and have all kinds of things going on there. I've seen also people who don't pull the loop through properly, so you get a little loop left at the end and that adds extra texture. But that's what it looks like with 6 strands of stranded cotton. I'll show you now in 2 strands, which is what we normally use. Smaller needle. Sorry about this, I'm just trying to make the videos a bit more spontaneous so that they don't, well, one, take me forever to make them, and so that you actually get to see a bit more about what I'm like rather than this sort of manufactured version. So there we go, same process. You can see the knots are much tinier, the knots are much smaller. Anyway, you get the idea of that. So this is stranded cotton. There we go, like that. So now I'll try it with a perlé. It's a 1-stranded thread, and as you can, I don't know if you can see in this one, it's a variegated thread. So we'll have a go with that and show how that works. Now you can use almost whatever you like for French knots. You don't want a thread that's too temperamental because it's got to wrap round itself and be, and be pulled through. So I'll show you what you can do to avoid that in a minute, if I can actually thread this. It will make me nervous. So we'll do a nice little range of threads of sizes on this one. Yeah, you see, that's what happens. You see, I've just poked it through the knot on the back there. Can you see that? And that's a pain. So we don't do that. Just make sure it hasn't gone through like that. You want it to come next to you, not through. So we'll do a nice little random selection of these. I'll do some of the bigger ones because they'll help. See, you see that thread, that knot there? It's sort of pulling. That's because I've got the knot in the back. You see? So you want to sort of try and pull that one back a little bit. What you can do, what I should have done, is you can hold the knot, sort of move it out of the way with your finger. But there you are, happens to the best of us. Not that I'm the best by any means, just I've been doing this for a while. So you also don't have to do large sections. You can make kind of little wavy patterns with them as well, and that works quite well if you're using single coloured threads, so that you can make sort of bark textures and rock textures. So you work a sort of a little wiggly area like this, and then a similarly wiggly area in a different colour. It's a very useful thread. They're good for eyes and for little creatures and whatever you like, really. Just as I say, they're a good texture thread. Stitch. Good sort of good useful basic. Oops, if it knots like that, just pull it back. There we are. There we go. So you can see the colour variation as it goes through and the different sizes. Creates a nice texture. It's a nice size too, it works out quite quickly. So we'll try it with a ribbon. This is, I don't know if you can see that. We'll see what happens with that. When I throw my needle on the floor, that's not very useful. Sometimes this causes problems pulling through a ribbon like this, but you can just get a large needle and see it doesn't pull very easily, but you get there. Okay, get nice big stitches again there. So just wrap it round, pop it back through. I'm being lazy and not chopping off all these things in the back, so they're getting in the way a little bit. Oops. Always worth doing this in a frame because it keeps the fabric nice and taut. Wouldn't be very easy to do otherwise. So you can make little individual sort of stones or whatever you might like. If you're having trouble pulling it through, you may have wound it a bit tight, like I just did then. Don't sort of really yank on this. There we go. And I mean, you could use, obviously these are all quite random colours, but you could even, you know, mix up the different types of threads with each other, and that would be nice to use too. So now we're just going to use a machine embroidery thread, because I heard from a lady who said that she was told that she couldn't use machine embroidery threads for hand embroidery, so I'm telling her she can. You can use whatever you like. These will be very tiny, and of course you can use multiple threads of this if you'd like to, but again, be careful if you choose to do that, because they won't always behave themselves and you end up with lots of like little loops. But if you're not bothered about it being too precise, then that's fine. Sometimes the little loops add extra texture, and that's what you actually want. See, like these ones have kind of gone a bit loopy. Oops, sorry about that. you get the idea. And like I say, adding these ones, you know, in amongst the thicker ones and the different threads would all be nice to use. And the last one, so help you see the sort of slightly more rocky texture. This is a hemp yarn. It's quite thick, meant for knitting, I think, but again, use whatever you like, whatever works for you. Just give it a go, see what happens. If only I could thread it. Keep catching the knot in the back. There we go. The thicker the thread, the bigger the knot. Obviously it's you know, quicker to do the larger ones, but it depends on the scale of your piece. And sometimes if you're making stones, for example, you know, like a gravel path, you could change from really tiny stitches at the very back down to the quite big ones to show the individual stones. Anyway, you can see what a kind of slightly stony, rocky texture it would produce like this. There we go. Well, I hope that's helpful for you, and feel free to watch all the other videos that are here, and hopefully soon we'll be tackling bullion knots, which I believe everybody hates. So hopefully that's helpful, and now you can add French knots into your arsenal of stitches to use.